Happy New Year's, guys. I'm here in beautiful Austin, Texas. And in this video, I'm going to cover the 5 things that you need to know in order to conduct a safe and fun drone shoot. This video is going to be perfect for those of you who are new flyers, or maybe you've been flying for a while. You just want to make sure that you have your fundamentals down right. So that's what we're going to cover in this video in just a moment. My name's Abel Acuna. I'm a drone pilot here in Texas. I run a business called Drones Over Texas. I'm a drone operator full-time. So if you're curious what it's like to be a drone pilot full-time, these videos and this channel is perfect for you. So with that, let's jump right in. The first thing you're going to want to do is to check your airspace. So ideally, this is something that you already did back home using the FAA UAS facility website. I'll link that in the bottom. But let's just say you're out, you see a beautiful place to fly, you're not in front of your laptop, then a great alternative is using the LAANC app. That's spelled LAANC. You pull up the LAANC app and you check your location. So here I am in downtown Austin at the Auditorium Shores. And here it shows that authorization is not required in order for me to fly in this location. So this is the perfect place to fly because I don't need permission here and I can fly up to 400 feet with no problem. So we are good here. That's the first thing you want to check. The second thing I like to check is flight radar. So I'm going to pull that up here and zoom in to downtown Austin. So Flight Radar 24 is perfect because it gives you a near real-time understanding of the planes and helicopters that are in your area. It'll even show you blimps. I saw that once. I thought that was so cool. And I like to see just what the general air traffic is in my area. So in this case, there's no planes around me. There's no helicopters. I see in the southeast of me, there's the Austin airport. And so I'm going to be mindful that we're going to have air traffic that I hear coming and going from there. And then I also want to be mindful that that tour helicopter is going to come around here. So I like to keep Flight Radar 24 open. That way I can just have extra situational awareness and have that extra confidence. That way, whenever I see a helicopter coming from the north down to downtown, I know that it's going to be approaching from, in my case, the west. I'm going to be listening for it. I'm going to be looking on the app or keeping one eye on the app, one eye on the drone, another eye on the controller, and then my ears are going to be listening always. So you have to really multitask in that effect. So Flight Radar is a great app to always have open and handy and just on standby there. The last thing that you need to keep in mind for your airspace is to just be aware of your surroundings. Think of special events that are occurring, marathons, football games, anything where there's going to be a crowd of, like, let's say 10,000 or more people, that can cause increased flight restrictions in your area. So you're going to have to be mindful of those and look up those as they come up on a one-off basis. Step 2, check your hazards. This really comes down to 3 things. That's going to be your people, your property, and nature. When we talk about people, in this case, I'm in a pretty busy park right now. So I've got kids and families all around me right now. I've got dogs. These are all things that can potentially be of issue, especially once you're launching the drone and bringing the drone down. Dogs are very curious about drones, and the big ones will go and even attack it. Kids, they'll be drawn to drones or they'll want to touch it. So you got to be careful there, and you just have to be super mindful of that. Property. In this case, the main property hazard is behind me. That's this wall of buildings. And then further in front of me is a convention center that's up on a slope. So essentially my flight area here is a wall of buildings and then this long line of lawn and then the ramp that is created by this convention center. So I have this kind of sloped area to work with. Nature. I have trees lined to the left and to the right of me. That creates little miniature walls to the left and right. And so you start to think in geometric space where I basically almost have like this little canyon that I can fly in. And then I have a wall here and then a slope to the front over there. So it's almost like a little Nike check mark, right? If you start thinking of that geometric space, it's really going to go a long way. So that's it for hazards. Let's move on to the next item. Third item, it's time to launch your drone. So we're almost going to get our drone in the sky here. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to do a final check of your drone. So you're going to open it up. You're going to give it some visual inspection. Check the props to make sure that there's no damage. Check the body to make sure that there's no cracks or anything like that. And you're going to want to look at your camera and make sure that everything looks good there, that there's no smudges on your camera lens. If there are, you're gonna want to wipe those off. In my case, today I'm flying without an ND filter because it's getting dark and I'm just gonna take some photos and I'm gonna spray off any dust. So make sure you get one of these and something to wipe your camera lens off. This looks good. We're looking good on battery. Check your battery and then make sure the little sticks have been installed. So while the drone is powering up and the controller is connecting, I'm gonna do a final safety check to make sure that everything is good here. So I see that I have a good area to fly here. I don't see anything here. I don't see anything on flight radar. So we are good. Once your drone and your controller are connected, you're going to want to find a place to launch the drone off of. If you're a beginner, that's going to be the floor. So you're going to want to put it on a flat surface, ideally concrete. If not, then mowed grass or something like that. You want to avoid tall grass and dirt as that can get into your motors and can cause an issue potentially. If you're more intermediate or you don't have a safe place to launch off the ground from, then you can always palm launch. This is how I typically launch because I've been doing this for 10 years. So I feel very comfortable launching this way. If you are going to launch this way, you have to create a very stable platform for the drone like this. Do not put your fingers up like that and don't slant it too much. And if you're in high winds, then palm launching is not recommended because you could have some instability and that can cause some damage to yourself. So you're going to want to hold the drone flat like that. Now the way to turn on the rotors from a palm launch, the way that I typically do is from the controller. I put the left stick down at a 7 o'clock and I put the right stick down at a 5 o'clock and I hold them there. And so it's as easy as holding them there. The drone is now on. Anytime that I want, I can hit the stick up. And now the drone's up in the sky. I have my point of interest, which is right here in front of me. And so I'm going to move the drone over to point in the direction of my point of interest, which is, let's call it this beautiful blue building in the center of the screen right here. And if you're a beginning drone pilot, there's a 6-point photo technique that I highly recommend. So let's say this, I'm going to get the drone up to a level that I think is kind of nice. I think that's beautiful because I can see the river, I can see the buildings, and I can see the sky. And I think I'll move in a little closer, just straight forward. I'm going to get the gimbal as level as possible. So now my gimbal's at 0 degrees. So I like to be flat on. The first recommended shot is going to be flat on 90 degrees towards your point of interest. In this example here, I'm going to shoot with JPEG only. So don't worry about RAW for now. I think 12 megapixels is just fine with this Air 3S. And I'm going to have this at full auto for this example. So here, first photo taken. That's photo number 1 in this 6-point photo. So this is straight on, flat on, 90 degrees towards my point of interest. The next thing I want to do, move the drone left, so in this case west, and then angle your drone at about 45 degrees towards your point of interest to get that angle. I'm going to take that shot. Now I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to take the drone, take it to the right, and you see I have nature here, right? So I'm going to put my drone up to avoid nature. The birds are so smart, they'll fly around it. But you always want to be mindful. So that was just me reacting in the moment to a potential nature hazard. So looking back up at the controller and my drone, remember I took this first flat on 90 degree. And now we're going to head to the east here laterally. So I haven't changed my altitude and I'm going to get that 45-ish degree of my point of interest and take that photo. So now we're 3 photos into our 6-point photo series here. The next thing is go back to that first location, right? So before we were down here, right? This is kind of the first photo we took. Go up in altitude to something that is noticeable and different for your shot, and then move the gimbal down. So the gimbal is going to point slightly down. In this case, I'm going to go higher up. So I'm at 330, almost 350 feet. And my gimbal's now at a 10-degree angle downward. So now I have a different angle here. Take that shot and then repeat those lateral 45-degree angles that you did before. So now I'm moving to the left, which is my west, and I'm going to rotate the drone so I'm getting that angle at a 45. And then with that 10 degrees down that we just did, right, that's going to give us an interesting shot. So do the same thing over to the right side or the east. And again, these are just guidelines. If you see something that's going to look, more interesting, so like this case, I'm like, okay, wow, this looks cool. I can get the sunlight, go up a little higher, put the camera down to 11, take that shot, boom, and we are good to go. So I feel really good about what I captured there. That was 6 photos, and I know that I captured the majority of what I needed to for this point of interest. So you can do this exact same thing with video. And I'm just going to put this into full auto for the purpose of our video here today. And I see the drone up there. And here's my flat on 90-degree shot. And the great thing with video is now, instead of having that static image, you can pull back or you can move forward. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and push forward. And now I have this cool shot going towards that point of interest. And once I've done that, I can do the reverse, just completely laterally, right? So this is just that flat on. And then it's essentially doing the same thing where I'm going to go laterally at that 45-degree pointed towards my point of interest. And I'm going to move towards it. And then I'm going to pull back away from it. And so you can see with these building blocks of just that 6-point photo interest, you can start to build a whole library of shots. So then you modify it. So in this case, I'm starting at 90 degrees flat on with my point of interest. And I'm going to pull back and gain altitude at the same time. So I'm going to pull back while slowly pushing upward on the left stick. And now I'm gaining altitude. And look what that does for your shot. So that's beautiful. I'm checking my hazards behind me. I'm getting this nice Dronie shot. And doesn't that look beautiful today? So you can do this all day. The key is just getting practice, putting in the hours, and you will be comfortable shooting in no time. Now it's time to bring the drone down. So you want to be keeping an eye on your battery. And what I like to do is I like to look at the minutes that I have left flying. Now the minutes you have left flying is variable. It really depends on what you're doing with the drone. It depends how fast you're flying. It depends on the wind conditions. So your mileage may vary, but whenever I start to see that creeping down to like a 5-minute, which is a small time window, I like to start to bring the drone in. Some people are a little bit more conservative and they'll see that if the drone has maybe 30% left in battery, then they'll bring the drone back in. For me, I feel comfortable with 5 minutes. So what I do now is I do another look to make sure that it's safe to bring the drone in. I think about where I'm going to land it. In this case, I'm not going to do the ground because there are dogs and things like that. So it's going to be safer for me to palm catch it. So the other thing is whenever you're receiving the drone, this is where you can really hurt yourself. So you want to make sure that you're wearing sunglasses and a hat and that you're mindful of your fingers because you do not want to cut those beautiful hands up of yours. So in this case, I'm going to bring the drone in closer. Then I'm going to walk to the drone. And remember, you want to keep your hands as flat as possible to create a base. Once it's under there, hold the stick down, bring your thumb in, make a flat little bed for it, and then catch it right there where you're far back from the gimbal as possible. There you go, guys. You can see it's not that difficult to get this guy into the air and to start taking some really beautiful shots. And we did that in just 5 steps. That was 1, checking your airspace. 2, thinking about the hazards. 3, launching, 4, taking the shot, and then 5, landing. So just follow those 5 steps every time and you'll be in a really strong position. Now, if you're an aspiring drone pilot, or if you're looking to maybe do this as a business, I invite you to follow this channel for more drone tips, more drone lessons. And if you're really wanting to take this serious in 2026, I invite you to check out my live drone training school over at Drones Over Texas. I help folks like you who are looking to do this full time and really replace your full-time income with video photography from a drone. I give you practical assignments on how to improve your drone photography, drone video skills, and then we also talk the business side of things. So I'll teach you how to attract clients, I'll teach you how to close those clients and what you should charge for these types of services. That's all I got, guys. I invite you to follow this channel. I invite you to check out my drone training course over at Drones Over Texas. My name's Abel Acuna. I will catch you guys later.